Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into our program proper, you all know it's no longer news that we lost our colleague Nongefak last Sunday, 6 days ago. Of course, the entire Canada team is still trying to recover from that very bombshell that we got on Sunday morning. Before we come back, maybe on set, to have one or two words from you, let's take this report on the memory of the fallen investigative journalist Nongefak.
La nuit s'annonce longue au tribunal militaire de Yaoundé, où chaque déclaration contribue à lever le voile sur cette affaire sensible. Nongefak, Justin Yanke, Kelvin Akime, en direct justement du tribunal militaire de Yaoundé.
A unique voice, unique reporter, and an exceptional personality, a dedicated investigative journalist committed to facts and truth to genuinely inform the millions of audience on a daily basis. At the mention of his name by the news presenter, attention heightens in the minds of the televiewers.
Insoutenable, la douleur déborde. Des cris maternels ci et là, comme un hymne de l'horreur entonné. Nous sommes dans le village Essamitsang, Paraguay, dans le département de la Mofou-Afamba, région du centre.
The death of Nongefak this Sunday morning comes like a bombshell to colleagues of Canada International, particularly and the entire Cameroon media family. His departure is cruel, bitter, and difficult to swallow. The TV personality has written his name in gold, with exceptional presentation of different programs, including More pour More, Larry True, and recent co-host of Entre Nous, a flagship program during the 2025 presidential election.
Madame, Messieurs, bonjour. C'est le temps de la rétro. Ils sont jeunes, nombreux, connectés, mais souvent sans emploi, sans voix et sans horizon clair. Au Cameroun, plus de 7 citoyens sur 10 ont moins de 35 ans. Une force démographique exceptionnelle, mais aussi pour beaucoup une attente prolongée de frustration silencieuse, parfois une colère contenue. Depuis des années, la jeunesse camerounaise dit osciller entre espoir et désillusion. Diplôme sans débouché, projet souvent sans financement, talent parfois sans reconnaissance.
Both on the field and in the studio, he remained faithful to the strict concept of professionalism. The senior reporter always available to guide junior colleagues and shape interns. Today, regrettably, the microphone has fallen off his hands, but Nongefak's mark remains fresh. The archives, the memories, the audacity of his voice remains a gift to the upcoming generations of the profession. Rest in peace is all we have to say with heavy hearts.
Yeah, welcome back, Madame Yvonne. I remember very well your last coming into the studio. I was right here with Nongefak, co-presenting Entre Nous, a program that was special for ahead of the October 12 presidential elections. I think that was the last day you saw him, unfortunately.
That was unfortunately the last day. Sorry, televiewers, I've gotten emotional. I used to call him my son.
Yeah.
He was my son. I think from his first days on Canal 2, we've walked the path together. Oh death, where's your sting? Oh grave, where's your victory? Sleep in power, I know. The mother that I am promises to go and look for your young wife and become part of you in her life.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kinang Derek. You also participated in one of those programs one of the late nights that we had here. Maybe just a word before we move on.
Yeah, I'm also very touched. Andrew was one of the very last program I attended here, and had the opportunity to once again discuss with Arnold one-on-one. Yeah, I can remember we were jokingly discussing that he has put his honor into investigative journalism and has abandoned us in the civil society space to push for some of these realities. And he said he is there and will always be there. So he took out time to ensure all of us left this place safely, and that was one specificity about Arnold. Always ensuring that everybody is safe before even thinking about himself. So on this day, I want to strongly believe Arnold has conquered, because his actions are out there and they speak for him. My condolences to the entire family. We are part of that family that is bereaved and shattered by his departure. But I strongly believe he lives forever.
Thank you so much, Komi, a colleague departing at such a very young age.
It's hard to say goodbye to Arnold because he was a junior colleague to me. Very respectful. And one thing that marked me about Arnold was his passion, his energy, the passion with which he will report, the energy he brought to the stories. I think that's something that cannot die. The voice of a journalist never dies. And it's really sad that we have to say goodbye to I mean, it's still unbelievable, you know. And we are hoping that his family will remain strong, and our condolences to the media family, especially Canal. I can imagine how hard it is for those who walked the floors with him here every day. So all we can say is rest in power, dear colleague.
Thank you so much. Joanna?
What I can say, like she said, mentioned earlier, it's never a good time to say goodbye to anybody. We wish for everyone to stay here forever. I didn't know him personally, but I used to see him on TV just like everyone else, and I can tell he has so much energy and passion for what he was doing. And I can only say condolences to his family and then the Canada team, and then may his family stay strong and may he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take the jingle, and then we come back and dive into our discussions proper. Yeah, so you're welcome back. This is 360 Degrees. If you are just joining us, wherever you are watching, you will have the opportunity to contribute to our talking points through the number you have on your screen. Just send us a short SMS through WhatsApp, and we shall be able to read it out here. Do not call, because we will not be able to take your call. Komi, we are celebrating the 41st edition of the International Women's Day. Under what context will you situate the celebration here in Cameroon?
I would say we are commemorating the day.
Thank you.
Because when you say we are celebrating, then I would be asking you, what are we celebrating? It's a commemoration, and we are celebrating in a context where, as Cameroonian women, we really have questions. Like Dr. Kinang said earlier, the femicide rate is unbelievably high, and it keeps increasing. Between January and March, for the cases that are documented in mainstream media, as of last night, there were 25 women killed. Why? What are we celebrating? Yes, there's been progress that we need to acknowledge, but when you have increasing rates of femicides like this, then there really needs to be a pause nationally to ask, what are we doing to make sure that these women are safe? Because when you look at the cases, most of the women that have died are killed by their partners. So this is the danger that is looming in a society, the danger that we have at home, and we are commemorating in a context of increased violence against women. We are commemorating in a context where we just had the presidential elections. We are moving into municipal and legislative elections. That is a context we are in, and women are still grossly underrepresented in these spaces where policies are made that affect our lives. This is the context we are talking about. We are commemorating in a context of increased cost of living.
Yeah.
Many homes cannot afford to live the way they used to, or to live the way they ought to. Yeah. And sometimes the burden of this falls on the women. We are commemorating in a context of increased displacements. Northwest, Southwest, far northern regions. The armed conflict is continuing, even if the mainstream media. Of course, we are commemorating in a context where women are continuously pushing. It's true that the picture may be sad and gloomy, but there is also a lot of progress that is being made by women in civil society space, women in business. So we are also commemorating in a context of some progress. Yeah.
Okay, Joanna?
Yes.
Do you see the same picture like Komi is painting here?
I would say definitely I do see the same picture, but I'm going to put more into the femicide. We have, she said 25, actually it's 26 cases. That's a 26 case known cases, because there are some cases that we don't know. Why? Because maybe the family have covered it, maybe it's not on news, it's not on social media. But is it only today the femicide have started? No, it have started years and years ago. And it continued to increase every single day, and nothing has been done about it. Honestly, I feel like it should be a wake-up call, not only for the women in general, but also for our government, to put something in place to make sure those women are actually safe, whether it's at home or at work, because we talk about femicide, those women being killed by their partners, but sometimes those women are also being harassed by their co-worker or even their boss, and nothing is being done about it. Those women are going through psychological problems, and it's not being known or seen. We don't have enough councils department to actually help these women where they can go and talk and express themselves, say, I'm going through this, I need help. Yes, it exists in Cameroon, but it's not known by everybody. And I feel like this commemoration, like the word she used, should be something that we need to imply, say, we need to do something to protect our women and our young ladies, because that's where it starts from home as kids. When those kids doesn't have those love growing up, they're going to continue to live in this kind of aspect and not being loved in their partner, and having harassment at their job and whatsoever. And we don't really do much actually to make them feel like they're actually safe, they're actually being heard, and we understand that pain. Yeah.
My Yvonne, the phenomenon of gender-based violence, do we have the impression that it is reducing, or is rather getting worse?
It's skyrocketing. I'll take this peculiar case. Gender refers to all the sociological components of society. This young lady in Colbison, she mentioned psychological health. Yeah. Mental health issues are real. She must have been living in a very dark cocoon. And the unfortunate thing is that society only appeared to judge her at the end. Nobody was there to give her the proper attention she needed at the proper time. You don't get a woman put to bed 3 children, poison them, get up one day and kill them, and kills herself. Yeah. Society has given up on humanity. How come people appeared in that home, were filming and talking, throwing jabs, insults on her, judging her, passing a sentence already? Such people, that's a videos that went viral, should be arrested and sincerely sanctioned for not assisting a person in danger. If our society, we've become too low, that we've forgotten that we are human beings, then we need a complete overhaul. of everything. I'm not sure any human being in their real senses gets up to kill. There are always the red flags. It suddenly transforms into something else. The red flags are there until that day when it hits the glass ceiling, and what happens? Femicide. Our society too, the government, we don't have any safe spaces like you mentioned, or any area where these women can run to and feel safe. Look at the one who ran in Douala into a school, and she was slaughtered right in the presence of people. He had prepared it by filing his cutlass on both ends. It's a general call. This is a security issue. This country, we need to sit up. And some of these young men have gone mentally disorder. When you have non-Nigerians, 90s and what, sitting tight, these young men go to schools, come out, and they can't put food on their table for what the business environment itself is not enabling. We should question our existence as a people. That's the root causes of what we finally call feminicide. I think we would have gone a long way if we start doing that.
Doc, we are still in the context.
I think I would like to, let me just leave away all what they've said, very important, on the aspect of femicide. If I should just throw a word around that, to even make it more clear, you will discover that they've just taken statistics from January to March. The statistics are also saying that from 2023 to 2026, we've had more than 212 cases. Can you imagine reported cases? Let me correct my statement. Reported cases, because those that are not even reported, I don't just want to imagine what is happening. So can you imagine a society in which those that are responsible for giving life, between the space of 3 years, you have already taken 200 and above 12 of them? You get the point. You get to discover it's already very challenging. Knowing fully well that this same gender responsible for giving life has other medium through which they abandon us prematurely. At times due to our unhealthy infrastructure, like Mom was saying just a while ago, they are victims of accidents. At times in the stress to want to give life, they are victims. So when they are already victims of some of these structural realities, and we bring in human realities to eliminate above 212 of them, it automatically tells you we have crossed the red line. What I wanted to really focus on as to context that many Cameroonians do not, maybe are ignorant of, it was a key aspect of my research, though I'm most often researching on diversity. Researching on the Anglophone conflict and the Boko Haram insurgency, you will come to realize that as we speak, in the aspect of displacement, 7 out of every 10 displacees you come across now have as their breadwinner the woman.
Okay. That's interesting.
I take the specific case of Douala, precisely Bonaberi. If you pick out 10 IDP families, 7 out of those 10 will tell you the woman of that house is responsible for putting food on their table. And we don't want to imagine the kind of horrible things they go through. I had to run away from the field because I could no longer take it. When you go to the far north, the situation is catastrophic. And these are some hard realities about our context that until we are sincere enough to say them and say them the way they are, we are far from getting closer to making Cameroon great again. Permit me bounce out by painting another context that goes beyond Cameroon. Okay. Because normally when you, in our present, in fact in the digitalized and contemporary world, there is no way you talk about the internal without the external.
Sure.
Do you know it's very shocking? Reports are saying women who are considered the breadwinners of the society in such a way that when you give a woman 500 francs, you are certain that in 1 year time she can give you 5,000. Yes. Which means a woman by her very nature has a multiplier effect. But the sad news about it is that in the SEMAC zone, in a world carried by digitalization, and 25% of women are having bank accounts. It's a serious problem.
Okay.
And that is the context we see. And until we fix it, we are going nowhere.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc. Let's just take one message. Titles, Banyo watching from Belgium. Great topic. The messages are still pumping in. Komi, you work on almost on a daily basis with women. What are some of these standing challenges? He just mentioned the Far North, and I know you explored a lot in that area. So talk to us, what are some of those standing challenges that we need to underline here for the powers that be to be able to seek solutions?
How much time do we have?
You have to be brief enough.
Just to say that this program alone is not sufficient for us to really get deep. So I may highlight just 2 or 3.
Thank you.
In Cameroon, you still have whole divisions where you don't have a single gynecologist.
Okay.
Let that sink in. Imagine whole divisions in the rural areas where you don't have gynecologists. So for any complication related to pregnancy, most of these women would die at home, or they need to travel very long distances to meet experts. Let's not even talk about the state of the road.
The generalists in those kind of environments, they come periodically.
Because of services. If they post you to a community where there's no electricity, there's no running water, and then they come periodically. They come periodically. And there was a time in Cameroon, I need to check the statistics as of 2026, where in terms of government gynecologists posted to the regions, some regions had 1, some had 2. So you look at a region like the Far North and you're asking, look at the population there. If they don't have a gynecologist, what becomes of maternal and reproductive health conditions in that region? This is something we really need to look at. When I go to divisions on rural areas, I always ask if there's a complication. In Cameroon, we still have divisions where I've gone to villages where in the primary school, which is perhaps the only school, and people have to travel 1 hour, 2 hours to get there, you have 10-15 girls in school. The rest of the village, girls are not in school. When we talk about education in Cameroon, people think about the cities. Yes, you live in Bafoussam, in Douala, everybody goes to school. You need to go to the villages and understand how difficult it is for some girls to go and stay in school. That should be a national priority that goes beyond just talking, because in some of these communities, there is no push factor to send the girls to school. But I think our government should make it compulsory that all girls should be in school. Yes, they will say primary education is free. For a child who needs to trek 2 hours to go to that school, for a parent that cannot buy books, it's no longer free. So we need to look at that. And I may end with the issue of public leadership. Like I said, there are too many things we can talk about, but these are the 3 that may be priority. Public leadership. Why is it important for us to have more women in public leadership? When women are not represented, there are perspectives that are missing. When women, if you can't get into a room and ask yourself, why do we not have women in this room? These are questions we must answer. Why is it that for over 50 years, there is no single woman who is a governor? We ask these questions year in, year out. But I think our leadership needs to ask themselves, why don't we have women in these offices? Why is there no female prime minister?
This is a mandate of women and youths. So
we are hoping. Well, Chia, we are hoping, it was announced that in the days ahead, we are hoping that in the days ahead, the changes that will come will reflect the needs of women and girls. The good thing is there is still time for the days ahead. So even if it's tomorrow and the list does not have many women, please add women in that list, because there are competent women, and when we are talking about rights, action, justice, there is justice in having more women in leadership. Let's make that space inclusive. There are competent women. Let's walk the talk by getting these women into these offices that require appointments, because sometimes it's a discretion. It's not a competition. So please, let's have inclusive leadership that considers women and young people in Cameroon.
Okay, Joanna, today, what should be the major problem? Is it that men continue to overpower women, or most women do not know their rights?
It's both. I would say that it's actually both. And let me get back to what she said, because I love everything she just mentioned. I was in Bafia Kiki not too long ago, and I asked to, because I'm a biotechnologist, so when everything concerns health, I'm very much interested. So when I go there, they have a hospital, but it's empty. No doctors, no nurses, no lights. Just the structure. Just the structure is there. So I asked myself, how do they do? They said, well, the doctors come sometimes, and you know, they don't have lights, so what's the point of even coming? And I asked myself, what if a child or a woman or anybody is super sick in the middle of the night? What do? They go all the way to Bafia. And that's about a 15-20 minute drive. That's if they are driving. There's no motorcycle at night. So how are they going to do it? So they're just going to die? They say, well, we've been doing this for years. We just manage it. There's also a school in Kiki, and you're counting the number of children inside that school. There's barely no teachers in the school, and you wonder why. Because something happened, and the teachers don't want to come there anymore. There's a thing that they said, they only want teachers from the area. If you're from another area, you cannot come and teach there. That was a big problem. For me, it was a big wake-up call. It was a very alarm for me. That's not normal. And I will continue by saying that this is something our government needs to actually change. Number one, in our hospital, everywhere in Cameroon, you go to the hospital, the nurse will start yelling at you, disrespect you for whatsoever reason. And that is something that we need to work on. I'm a patient. I come to the hospital because I want help. I don't want you to add stress on top of my stress. And that is one thing that we need to really focus on. I have mentioned in a different show, or not too long ago, and I said, when you go to a different country, for instance, when you go to the hospital and you tell your doctor, I have a belly pain, whatsoever disease you come with, the first thing they're going to ask you, how are you, what is your environment at home? They want to know how you feel. They're going to ask you, are you being harassed? Are you being properly taken care of at home? Is your husband treating you well? Why? Because they are not only wanting to know your disease that you're coming with, they want to know if you are well in your house, if your environment is okay. If it's not okay, they have numbers to call for you to seek for help. We don't have that in Cameroon. Okay. And that is one of the main things we need to focus on. So when those structures were actually being properly held, I think that the femicide will actually reduce from a very high number, or maybe we never are going to have it. Okay. Yeah.
Coming back to the question I asked about the rights. Right. Is it that the men are so overpowering the women, or some women do not, maybe at this point, 2026, do not still know their rights?
I feel like they don't know their rights because women does not know that, like for example, I'm going to say this, in Rwanda, for instance, they have in the parliament, they have a higher number of women in parliament. We don't have that number here in Cameroon. Women does not know that I have the capacity to actually be in the decision-making table. I can actually be in a political party. I can actually make change. I am calling for my rights, but I don't know where to go to actually seek for that right, and that's the bigger problem. And yes, we do have men to this day that are going to continue to overruling women for whatsoever reason, I don't know, but we still have those men that does not allow the women to actually speak their voice, to actually say, you can't do it. There are sometimes women, when they go, for instance, for example, they are in their structure, in their office, for instance, they're going to be continue to be overruled by their boss. Why? Because the boss is going to start harassing them. If you don't come and sleep with me, I'm not going to give you what you are wanting. And that's the bigger problem they have in this country. And sometimes those women, they don't know where to seek for help. They will go home and talk to their mothers and then sisters and say, Mom, I'm going through something. And what the mother's going to say, not even going to help them, and say, you're going to have to just keep on sucking up. Because we need money in this house.
Especially when she's the breadwinner of the family.
She's the breadwinner. She said, you're going to continue doing it. So you're going to go and fall for this man harassing you because you are the breadwinner of this house. If you don't go with this man, how are we going to end in the house? That's the bigger problem. Women also need to support other women. If my sister comes to me and say, I have a problem, please help me, I should take her and help her mentally, emotionally, or any kind of way possible. This woman in Colby-Sun that we mentioned earlier, I would say, what was her environment? Did she talk to her sister, her friend? Men did not beat her up or what's up the situation, but one day it happened for a very long time and she had bad advices all the way for her to kill her children and herself. And that's the bigger problem. Yes.
Okay, my Yvonne, maybe before I come to you, let me get to, let me come to you. Where do you draw the line between maybe a woman who is submissive to the husband and a woman whose rights are being violated in that process? Because the violence in our homes, some men mostly attribute it to a woman who is not submissive, arrogant, flippant and all that. So where do you draw the line?
Submission.
That's a big word.
Yeah. If that man considered himself a human being, and the woman another human. In a couple, it's partnership. It's not one lording it over the other. They vouch more, they do more on the girl than on the boy. He just stands there and they say he's head of the family. They need to share. They need to communicate. They need to draw the line and set rules for their home. In marriage, marriage has there's no specificity in marriage. You make your marriage work or you make it mar. The men, our sons, yes, they'll say women talk a lot. What about that? Was your mother not talking when she brought you to this world? Do your sisters not talk? But they are your sisters. So if we could put love ahead of all of this, we won't be going to the extent of feminicide. And to the young ladies, I tell them, marriage is not a job opportunity.
True.
It's not employment. You come into a partnership, you bring in, he brings in, and you people pull together and raise a beautiful family. I asked a huge group of women yesterday, do you have the Women's Day fabric? Quite a good number said they didn't have, and I said, why?
My husband
they said they were expecting.
From the husband.
I told them, who wears the fabric? They wear the fabric. If you think 2027 you want to enjoy the fabric, as from Monday, you start saving for that fabric. Life is planification.
Yes.
Women should not over-expect from, not overburden. They too are the sons of some mothers. But until there is this cohesion, there is this, partnership. Why? It's still like proscribed in our society that a woman who is well-to-do or earns more can marry a man who is. If you were to put human rights ahead, they are two humans. She can bring more. He brings the little he has and they complete the basket and life goes on. It is strange even in our society to hear that a woman walked up to a man and said, can
you marry me?
Why not? Why not? We need to break those societal stereotypes. if we consider us both humans, if a woman can have feelings, a man too has feelings. It can come from one way. It may be a very shy young man, but who has been admiring. There are sign languages. You discover that walk up to that person. We need some resilience in society. Young girls, I read somewhere around the Valentine's that when you are at first degree, advanced level first degree, the men are running behind you. From masters, they start running away. So we need to get to that level where society accepts all these differences.
Okay, Doc, before we move away from this violence, you're a man, the women here, it is true that it's way more on the other side. But we also have cases where men go through a lot. Violence from women. Yes. We have cases where women beat up their husbands in their houses.
Yeah, for sure. Those are perfect realities about our society. You know, normally I usually tell people gender-based violence, like Madame Yvonne was saying, Mom was saying, it's about that issue of gender. It's around it. So it's gender as a whole. And you always have situations in which, unlike the case of the woman that is very glaring and the society sees it and condemns it, most at times men have developed, they have that thick skin in which when they are going through some of these things, they will try to hide it, they will not say it out, and most often their own violence at times, it's even psychological. Yeah. You get the point. But that should not be, to me, he who has received much is always expected of such a person. And if we want to be very realistic, the Cameroonian society and the African society as a whole is patriarchal, in which much has been given to the man. And so there is a degree of deterrence, there is a degree of self-control that is always expected of a man. Sincerely speaking, in our different communities.
That's why Minister Tanganji said, if you are afraid of the woman's mouth, do not get married.
Do not get married. He was in an indirect way simply saying, these our mothers are not perfect beings. Same way we are not perfect as men. But you must get to that level in which you understand your woman. And I don't want to say never, but push yourself to that level in which it can never so happen that you raise your hand on her. Because the very first day you will try it, if you can raise your hand, there will come a day you will feel like giving a blow, a punch. Yes. From the day you move to punch, there will come a day you will think like picking a weapon. So it is always about taking extremely preventive measures to ensure that we don't get to that final unresolved stage in which you do the worst. We are not saying women are angels, neither are we saying men are angels. We are just simply saying, as a man, much has been given to you in the patriarchal society in which you are living. Also know, much is expected of you. If you want to be a man that's on no reason existing, why take away her life? If you think you have gotten to that level, you can no longer take it. Follow the direct divorce. Please do not get me wrong. I'm just saying. And in this case, femicide, it's more dangerous than divorce. So I want to strongly believe, to me, that issue of some women talk too much, they bring a lot of violence, men also suffer. Yes, it do exist, and we are saying it. And to me, it's a day I'm calling on gender-based violence seen in all its aspects. Not an issue of wanting to make it a woman kind of a thing, but an issue in which women that are fighting for the rights of women, when you are faced with a situation in which a man's rights is being violated by a woman, you must not be a passerby. You must stand to talk. It is when you will talk that it will give legitimacy to your cause, and many others will follow suit to ensure that the women are protected and at the same time the men are protected. We can't build a society in which one side is overweighing over the other.
Yes, my Yvonne was highlighting an element economically, financially, and everything.
When we talk about women's empowerment, we are looking at also autonomy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You should be able to support yourself. And when I talk to women, I talk to them about autonomy. There is no part of even parents are raising kids to not be dependent on them. That's why mothers will breastfeed and then wean the child, because you cannot be breastfed, throughout your life. So for the women who are watching us, it pays to be autonomous. You don't want to be a slave to anybody. That's why we encourage girls to go to school. We encourage women to discover their purpose. Why are you here on earth? Discover your skills, your talents, and develop them. And so for me, autonomy is what you have a lot that you bring into the family space. You have a lot that you can bring into society, and you can shelve that because you want to walk in a man's shadow or be cared for him. So I am for autonomy and self-development and self-empowerment to being the best you can be.
Yes, Joanne, I mentioned earlier that the president said this is a mandate for youth and women. Months have gone by. Have you, the women, started seeing the signals of that, maybe the effects of that mandate?
That's actually a very good question. There's a lot of things that the government says that it's not being applied. And that's unfortunate. That's the country that we live in. They will say it, but in my perspective, I have not seen it yet. So we are waiting and see if whatever he says that's going to be applied. And that's unfortunate, to go back to what she mentioned. That's very unfortunate that in Cameroon, there are some cultures where the woman will actually go to school, but she does not have the right to speak in front of the man. In Cameroon, it does still exist. There are some cultures like that, where she's in the family meetings, the woman goes in the kitchen, and then the men's in the living room talking business. It's also the country that we live in. But my thing is, like she mentioned, autonomy. Women need to understand that they have a big power that even themselves ignores. Until they find their power deep down in themselves, they will do great things that nobody can even possibly imagine. And I feel like every woman should think about that for 10 seconds. We all go to school, yes. Why do I go to school for? Because I want to become somebody. Even though you don't get the job that you want to have, you don't get the position that you want to have in life, there's a lot of things that you can possibly do. You can start small and become the bigger person tomorrow. And that's what we have to put in our mindset. And then to continue, we need women to stop following others based on what they have done. If I see an influencer, quote unquote, I don't know their pathway. I don't know the step they have been through to become influencers. I need to find
I don't even know what they're influencing.
Exactly. What are you influencing? I need to find my own path. I need to find my own way. If I want to become a business owner tomorrow, maybe I want to have a boutique of clothing, whatsoever that is. I need to start small, maybe sell small in the market, save my money, and then tomorrow have my big business. I don't need to jump from 0 to 10. It's impossible. And that is one of the things that social media has taught us, that you can move from 0 to 10. You see this influencer that start from nothing, and then tomorrow he has contracts on earth. That means I can possibly do. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Not everybody can be a business owner. Not everybody can be a doctor or a teacher whatsoever. What is my own path? Where do I go?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, my Yvonne, the key to women's empowerment as we stand, looking at the nature and the picture of the country, what is the key, the way forward for women's empowerment in Cameroon?
We need justice.
Yes.
We need justice and equitable society. Where justice is served, the rest will follow. We are in a society where we've been talking so much about GBV cases. When Osinachi was killed in Nigeria, the husband was sentenced to death and he was executed. Exemplary execution of justice. You know, if you don't repress these acts, some say, I saw Dian Yango's husband in Douala did it, was sentenced to pay 52,000. Wow.
I'm telling you.
A woman's life. 52,000. And he walked out of that prison till today. Whatever is being done after.
Very wrong.
No one knows.
Yes, very wrong signal that was sent. Maybe the Jan Yango case is what is pushing this exponential number in 2026. He says, I'll do it and walk free. I'll do it and go.
I'll do it and pay 52,000.
And pay 52,000 for a life. Come on. We need, I think, in the drawers of the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family, there is this specific law on GBV. I hope it gets to Parliament this March.
Yeah.
GBV has to be repressed very severely. When I talk of cases like rape, those people should be castrated. You see a man rape a 3-year-old child. Is that still human? Cause him never to get that desire again, and you would have saved humanity. We are not extremes. They too will stop thinking extreme.
For me, we are almost moving out, but then let's come back to women and leadership or governance that you were talking about. I will still come back to the mandate because it's not me that said it. It is the head of state that said it. Now, what do you expect? What are your specific expectations after that announcement?
To see greater enforcement of that announcement, greater delivery of that promise that was made to the women. Leadership doesn't only start at the level of appointment. Earlier we talked about villages in Cameroon where more than half of the girls in those villages are not going to school. The effects of that will show up 10, 20 years down the road. So if we need to prepare leaders of tomorrow, we need to educate them now. We need to look at the quality of education. We need to deliver for women in health. And now in terms of public leadership, take examples, maybe the governor, prime ministers, and other top positions that require an appointment where it's presidential discretion. The president can look into the basket of all the CVs of powerful, impactful Cameroonian women and appoint them. That is a good step. You're showing the women of Cameroon that you believe in them. You're valorizing, you know, what they bring to the table. And of course, we need to also address the inequalities that exist. Why is it that the student particular department where governors are trained, many women don't apply to? I said then it means there's a structural thing that you need to address. And so we need to walk the talk, look at why are we not having women, and intentionally address these root causes.
Doc, we are almost moving out. Drawing from the experiences of the past editions of the Women's Day, do you have the impression that we are derailing from the real issue, from the real goal of the day? Because most often it is about the eating, the drinking, the sleeping in the bars, getting up on the 9th in the morning. You see some women still dancing along the street.
Yeah, sincerely speaking, I have the impression much of the things that were supposed to be projected during this commemoration are pushed to the backyard, and we hear more of 8th of March fabrics, particular women grouping that will be breaking the Njangi. They have improvement because, especially for the educated ones, I've seen so many organizations carry on talks in schools where they talk to young girls. But knowing fully that the woman holds 51 to 52% of the population, I still think it's very insufficient. This should be a day in which they steal the show. A day in which every nooks and crannies of Cameroon is resounding with women activities aimed at empowering them, aimed at making them better, and not a one in which we think more about fanfare and about fabrics. Like I said, there have been improvement, but I'm part of those who strongly believe there is still much that is to be done. And I want you to spare me a minute to talk about the issue of leadership and only see it as an insomnia. And one of them, it's no longer part of the game to me, to a woman. You can only take power by force, or you beg for power, or you steal power. When somebody comes up and tell you people, this mandate is going to be your mandate, he's indirectly wanting you to come and beg for that power. Women cannot be 52% and they beg for power. To me, it's not an approach that works. You are now begging to have a governor, and tomorrow they will give you 1, 2. You will think you have already achieved something. It's still very insignificant when you own 52% of the population.
Yeah.
Women should start looking for strategies to steal power, and if possible, strategies to take it by force. They have what it takes to take it, and what is stopping them? I think we can no longer continue talking about structural realities and the patriarchal nature, because numbers is now on their side. And how do we go about this? Men have not used double-head snakes to stay at the top. I take a very glaring example. The men, they have their day zero veteran. You get it? When he goes to play football on Saturday, he tells his friends, guys, I'm planning to go in for municipality. They rally behind him. They assist him to get to the top. Because they know when he gets it, Monsieur le Maire will come on day zero and they'll be fine. How many women sit in associations and rally to bring a person like Madame Yvonne B up? I'm not pouring flowers on her. But what I'm simply saying,
she deserves the flowers, though. She deserves the flowers.
My worry is I see men galvanized to put their own up. I'm not really taking it to that direction, though.
We can't end on
I'm
that
not taking it to that direction. But what I'm simply saying
is, we need better strategy.
They have this power that they seem not to know they are having. And they have this platform they seem not to want to leverage. I might be wrong though, but they should prove me wrong this time around. Any woman that will want to stand in for municipal and legislative elections should win. And that should happen by women picking the bull by the horns to say we are not going to beg, we are going to follow this, our sister, and we are going to either steal it or we take it by force and let her get there.
Okay, thank you so much. You mentioned that we still have 5 minutes. We shall go around. You mentioned the upcoming municipal and legislative elections, and I think even the televiewers already saw the flyer of Madame Yvonne Mumabi circulating that she's going in for the post of the MP in her constituency. Maybe before we close this program, the motivation behind that.
The motivation is all what we've been denouncing here. I will represent that voice that speaks truth and has spoken truth for 36 years to power. There is no dilly-dallying about it. It's just a voice that is going to resound what comes from the communities. We need to start applying the bottom-top system of governance. And we don't sit and it is fed to us, but we come up with our agenda, make sure it happens out there.
We'll have time maybe for a one-on-one to really dish out the program. Let me get to Joanna, who also has political ambitions like you.
Wow.
Maybe before we go, the MP3, what are you looking forward to as far as the municipal and legislative elections are concerned?
Like both this big strategy, as a saying, like we say, money talks, right? But this big strategy that we have is, even if you don't have money, you have strategy, you have power, you can do it, we will invest you. Because we need you to be on that decision-making table. And that is it. We are going to go far everywhere in Cameroon to find those powerful women that has not only the audacity to do it, because politics is not for everybody. You have to have the audacity to do it. You have to say, I can do it. I have the strategy, I have the time, and I can support my sister. We will invest you. We will make sure that you get to that decision-making table and you represent our country. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Komi. Before we go, the women are celebrating tomorrow. Maybe what is that? Commemorating tomorrow. Yeah. I use the word celebration because I know what will be happening tomorrow.
Exactly, it's a big thing.
They will be commemorating tomorrow. What is that watchword that you want to send across as they get into the fabric tomorrow to say, oh, though some marriages will get spoiled.
So that's why I'm not even talking about it. But I think that one thing that I value a lot is understanding who fought for us to be able to sit on TV. Yeah. There was a time when all platforms were men. Some women fought hard to change that. Some women fought hard to make sure we have women in parliament. There are women who fought hard to deliver the privileges rate. We have made progress. Let's not buy into this agenda of erasure. Even when they tell the Cameroonian history, sometimes you don't see who were the women that fought for our independence. There is a steady erasure, and I think part of the justice that we want is recognizing the women. And even go back into your family, go into your communities, go into your villages, understand the history, celebrate some of these women. Some of them are still alive, because that is part of our progress. If we don't know where we're coming from, we don't know where are we going to. So let's honor, let's celebrate these women, let's document the achievements of the women, and then we can push forward.